Hi, my name is Najat Gonzalez, and this is a pre-conference video for observation number 3, T-test observation. I will be interviewing my principal, Mrs. Rachel Neff Rupp, who is principal at Cunningham at South Park Middle School.
District, and she hasn't taught RLA in a while. And so it's kind of some reteaching and a lot of, especially also the structure. We are really working with classroom management with her and coaching her. So she's just kind of learning, not only learning the content, but she's also kind of learning the structures. We have a very kind of tight structure here of expectations for entrance and exit routines and what we expect in the classroom and all of that.
Okay, so for this particular teacher, um, what is it that you feel that you want me for this particular observation? Is there anything I need to focus on? I'll be doing it when we come back from intercession. What are you, as a principal, and I know every week you guys have certain things that you're looking for. You put it in the newsletter. So can you tell me a little bit about what I'm going to be observing and what am I going to be looking for, and things of that nature?
So we follow the Get Better Faster model, which is of course, the management and the rigor and what on the waterfall and where the teachers are, and that's kind of where we kind of come up with the action steps that move from there. First thing I always tell my APs that are going to look through is to look at the domain 3, which is really the classroom culture,
Okay.
the classroom management, the systems and routines. Because if a teacher doesn't have that, everything else is going to fall. And so and that's the first thing you'll see in there are her systems and routines. How do the kids enter? How do the kids exit? Do they begin immediately? How long does it take them to start working? Because that all goes into the pacing and everything, which then starts hitting on the instruction.
Okay, so I'll be looking at domain 3. Okay, perfect. All right, and we did say she was a 7th grade reading teacher.
Yes.
As far as being prepared to do the observation, what do you think I'm going to need to do to prepare?
So the first thing we always do for any kind of observation is we look at the IGs, which is our instructional guides, to see where they are in the curriculum and what we can kind of see what the district has set in the scope and sequence. And so then we look at their slides, which is basically their lesson plans that they have been preparing the previous week, to see what we can expect in there and to see kind of the timing and the pacing for it. So that's what I would do to prepare, is to kind of look, and so you know what to be expecting, and so then you can see what is the result.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Anything that you would recommend as far as I am going to have to do a pre-conference with the teacher, and then do about a 15-minute observation, and then I have to go back in for a post-conference with the teacher. As far as questions go, do you recommend a particular set of questions, or how would you recommend coming up with those?
So I can share with you our actual pre-conference questions. Talking about what the objectives are going to be, what we can expect. Is there anything they want us to pay attention to? How does she do grouping? And so we have a set of pre-conference questions that we use that we actually got from the T-test rubric and org. So it's some of those questions that we use. We ask those questions in our pre-conference, which is a 2-week window that we can kind of go in for that formal observation. So those what I would use, and then for the post-conference, we use the cycle. So where you always kind of want to start with, we call the glows and the grows, but the good, and kind of then talk about what the refinement where she can kind of work on. And you want to always give them action steps. You don't want to always give them too many action steps. So we always say,
Bite-sized.
Yes, bite-sized, exactly. 1 to 2 action steps is really all anyone can do, and I always say give examples. And sometimes that's where our coaching comes in with the modeling, with our scripting.
When you and other admin go in for these observations, are you strictly doing the observation? At any point during the observation, are you maybe stepping in and doing some modeling, or what do you do in those instances, or does it depend on the type of observation that you're doing?
It depends on one, the relationship, what we have established with the teacher. So you
Okay.
got to build that trust with the teacher first. We do a lot of on the spot coaching, especially with some of our newer teachers, and especially there where we can say, all right, if we've been working on chunking the directions, we will even give hand motions where we say, do
Right.
it again, because we didn't get it. Or if we're working on wait time with our teachers and their callback, we'll say, I don't think everyone's listening. So we can kind of tell them 3, 2, 1, scan the room, make sure, wait, let them all be listening. We do both. We do on the spot coaching where we have them do it again, or we might model it for them, depending on the situation, depending on the teacher.
Okay. With this particular teacher, is she, how, anything I need to know going in for the observation? I know she's new to our school, but she's not a new teacher.
No, she's not. She's an experienced teacher.
Right, she's an experienced teacher. So anything that I need to know going in, some background knowledge, or
She's a little overwhelmed with content because she is coming into a new, a whole new district with a whole new content, and the RLA content is pretty heavy. Learning how to do Amplify, which is the curriculum, with the teaching part, with especially our students as well. So that's where she's struggling, is just kind of the pacing of the content, and a lot of that also kind of falls into her classroom management too. So for example, think about how long she takes to do the warm-up, which we know a warm-up is 5 to 10 minutes. What we've been really working for are those tighter systems in using those timers and everything, and being, set that urgency in the classroom to get those kids moving a little bit quicker, because when we're finishing up our bell ringer or our warm-up, and it's the 20, 25 minutes, well, half the class is already over, and we can't get to the I do, we do, you do.
right? Okay, so that's where she's struggling. Okay, so I'm going to go in, just to kind of recap this. I'm going to go in. I mean, I'm going to touch base with her even before we record our pre-conference. I'm kind of just to let her know that I will be observing her, just for my own kind of preparing over the intercession for when we come back. So I'm going to be looking over domain 3, and that's the culture within the classroom. I'm going to be looking at, and you're going to send over those set of questions. Okay, so in terms of the post-conference with the teacher, just some final things to recommend as far as getting ready to meet, depending on what I see in the observation.
Okay, now I need all 7th graders to
What do you recommend as far as post-conference?
So with the post-conference, I really let my write-up and everything drive with the rubric.
Okay.
Where they fall, we kind of go through, that rubric, and let them see where they fall. If it was, because it's the rubric, especially in the adjectives and the mounts, where it says all, or was that many, or was that some, and let them see and give them examples. I mean, that's the thing they want to know, is like, how could, and let them, a lot of times we try to get them to talk, let them do
Yes.
the talking, and let them have that ownership and kind of come up. First thing I asked was, how do you think you did?
Okay.
How did it feel?
Right. Yes, so you're letting them kind of guide the discussion, asking them to reflect
Yes.
on it. Okay, so that'll be the majority of it. Okay. Is this something, would you recommend me going in with another admin?
You can definitely,
Okay.
I would definitely say,
One of the instructional coaches?
so we do
maybe?
calibration walks as an admin team every single Monday morning at 9:20.
Okay.
We go into different classes and into different areas, and we compare. So if we have 2 7th grade RLA teachers, we're going to go into both of them there in that same time. And as an admin team, we calibrate what we saw and what would be that glow and that grow.
Oh, okay.
And that's something we have a practice of every single Monday after we do our morning huddle. We will do our calibration walks for the week and kind of go through together so we're all on the same page. But it also helps us because one of the things we don't want to do is we don't want 5 different people going into the class giving them all different action steps. We want to all be on the same page.
Right.
And we really let what drives us there is our, of course, our Get Better Faster
Yes.
and our waterfall, waterfall.
Yes. Do you like the Get Better Faster?
Yes, well, it's almost like it's given us, so we use Get Better Faster as kind of the manual, and Teach Like a Champion are the strategies.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what we are learning.
There you go.
Okay, well, thank you so much for meeting with me. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Let me send you that now because I'll forget.
My name is Najette Gonzalez, principal candidate, and I am doing pre-conference with Mrs. Escochia. She is a 7th grade RLA teacher at Cunningham Middle School at South Park. Okay, Miss Escochia, I'm just going tomorrow we'll be doing our observation, and I'm just going to go over just a couple of things just for my information. So I'll be going in around 4th period. One of the instructional coaches will be accompanying me to your classroom. And so before we go into the observation, I just kind of wanted to touch base with you and just to find out a few things about what to expect tomorrow. Do you know what your objectives will be during the lesson?
Yes, we're reading right now A Raisin in the Sun, and we're already towards the end of the book. So the objective for tomorrow will be how the character has kind of come full circle, kind of how the changes. So with the dialogue and the staging, how the characters, how this is changing the character from the beginning of the story to now the end. So kind of looking from stage directions and dialogue.
Okay, great. Okay, and what do you expect students to know and to be able to do after the lesson or the unit?
They should be able to be a little bit more familiar with stage directions, with the way it's set up, a play is set up, and that it's very important, and also the dialogue for the characters. So this is kind of a little bit what they'll know.
Okay, great. Great. And I kind of want to go over just briefly when I go into the classroom, will you talk about some of the varied learning needs of the students, including those who have maybe 504 plans or who have accommodations, things like that. When I go in there, can you tell me a little bit about what I can expect to see so I can make a note of that as I'm doing my observation?
Okay. Well, one of the things would be for sure the vocabulary. They not only do we have the vocabulary up there, but they have pictures that go along with the vocabulary, and this is for this unit. Also, there's academic vocabulary up there to help the students that need that little help to remember. And we use a lot of visuals in class, so this way it's easier for the students to understand what I'm talking about. So, it's in technology.
Okay, so real quick, do you have a lot of students who are maybe SPED students, ESL students?
Yes, in that class, I have a few. Yes, yes,
Okay.
and I do.
So that's
That's
something that I need
inclusion, and I believe there'll probably be an inclusion teacher in there
to.
also.
Okay, so there's
with
going
me.
to be
Yes,
another teacher.
another teacher.
Okay, great.
And in there also, sometimes there's two, one for the inclusion for the 504 SPED, but also there will be a teacher, should be a teacher, ESL teacher in there, because I have two students that are
Oh,
EBs.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, any special things that I'm going to be seeing with these particular students as far as their plans or accommodations?
Well, the EB students, they'll have a translator. They have a tablet.
Gave you the answer to it, to the last one, number 6. You can discuss with your table mates.
No. Jordan Mitchell is wrong.
He says you should marry, but
But the girl doesn't want to.
yeah, the girl says.
Que no estás late.
Did you go to that page?
Hágalo y después préndalo.
Miss, my computer is doing the glitchy thing again.
Okay,
But like it doesn't when like I'm on it like for a long time. Like when I do my work, it just starts to zoom in and out.
Oh, it's the curse of 6
do you have the insurance?
I haven't heard that story.
Get the insurance. $15.
I'll tell my mom. Is this broken or something?
It might be.
So what do you think on this one? This one's like on one, you'll find that on like 148. So he's right here. You're looking for his name. Ooh, I like that.
Tell me about a rainbow after a rain.
Disappears.
It disappears. Or does it appear?
Oh yeah, appear.
When you think of rainbows,
Shine light.
when you think of rainbows, do you think happy? Do you think sad? Okay, so then how is his journey? How is his life like that? And how about talking about that in there, about him as a man coming, like becoming a man. So what in there? What? Does he want Travis? It's all about him.
Aaliyah.
¿Cómo se llama? Toma, sí, usa la computer y en el translate it en inglés. Okay. Porque así no vas a, y eso también, porque no te está ayudando así en español. Okay, sí, pero, a ver, en inglés.
Kind of challenge, so what kind of challenges do they go to those historic types? Okay, so what about so what happened?
They got stolen.
Who did it? Who stole his money? Yeah, his friend. So.
Then you got betrayed.
So he got
So you felt really down.
So that's a life learning lesson, right? He learned. And what other challenge? What other thing is he trying to do? So that's happening, that's what it is, going through the dark times and coming out in the light, in the better times. So like you said, I hear that.
Because we're trying to find another fight for
just skills throughout the whole entire, like in a lesson. So there might be 10 skills that it touches upon within a lesson, like that metaphor.
Yeah.
It touched on that. However, it didn't teach it because that should have already been taught back in elementary school.
This goes into the ideal situation where the child already is aware of figurative language.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, but we know that figurative language is going to show up on STAR. So we need to make sure that we go back and we explicitly teach. And so we broke down the CBA, their misconceptions, but then they need to do that on each lesson as well. So today she should have noticed that that was going to be a fill in the blank, like a short constructed response, right? How his journey in his life, how it matched like a rainbow after rain. That means that his journey changed, right? And it became, it was dark and gloomy and things weren't happening really well. And then after his journey became light and joyful, and that they needed to have that conversation. They needed to have the time to be able to have that student discourse and talk about it before she had the kids write.
The people who do the IGs are aware of this, right? Are they not putting it and embedding it in previous lessons?
No, because it is our high quality curriculum, we are required to follow the curriculum.
But that doesn't make sense. My name's Najette Gonzalez, and this is Post Conference with Miss Escochia, 7th grade RLA teacher. Miss Escochia, thank you for allowing me to come into your classroom today, and thank you for sitting with me for this post conference. So, as we discussed in the pre-conference, we were going to be going over Dimensions 3.1, Classroom Environment, Routines and Procedures, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to come at the beginning of the classroom, but I was able to observe you towards the end of the lesson today. And so, again, thank you for inviting me. I just want to talk to you about what you think went well in the lesson today.
Today, I think the students, the way they were having their discussion, so the student discourse is one of the big things that I like. It would have been better, but I had like 5 students missing because of the field trip, so.
Okay.
And those are the students that usually more forthcoming with the discussions and, you know, answering the questions, so.
Okay. Okay, good. What do you think went well in terms of the routines and procedures that you have in place whenever the kids were working on a solo, which is their independent work, correct? Okay, so what do you think as far as what you have established already with this class, what do you think went well?
Well, I know it's a solo, but I always let them work together as a group, because some of these, especially towards the end, it was getting a little harder, the questions, you know, because you're digging into the characters' personality and how they're changing their life journey. So I know it should be a solo, but I'd rather have them discuss it and get more like you say, feedback from other students, and so they can just be able to understand it better.
Yeah, okay. Just so I can have a better understanding, do you have something like a routine or a procedure that's in place for this type of group work, like you wanted them to work? Is there something that they follow?
Well, no, just in groups, but I usually come around to monitor, like doing a lap before y'all came in and said, so we're gonna get started on this, and I let them get started on the paper as we're listening, because we're doing an audio, so they were listening to the recording, and as they were doing, they were answering questions. So, and I would stop a little bit and give them a chance to do a question or two, and also discuss it within them, you know. And so during that time, I would come by and mark their papers, whether they've got it right or not, or to ask somebody, you know, if they needed help. So that's usually the way I do it. I walk around from group to group and monitor and check off the answers that are right, and give them instant feedback in case they have it wrong. So that way they go back and kind of look at the question a little bit closer.
Okay. Well, what do you think? What could the kids maybe? What could you have done as their instructor to maybe make the lesson run more smoothly? Like, what do you think could have been better as far as classroom procedures and routines?
Okay. Well, today they were having. I noticed they were struggling with the metaphor. So I should have stopped and had a whole, class discussion about metaphors, kind of just reviewing what it is and maybe kind of point them in the right direction of, or we'll really ask them. And that way maybe if the whole class would hear what other people were thinking, maybe that triggers something, so I should have stopped.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you have like a system in place? Like if there's a group of kids working together, do you have something in place where they help one another, or like they try to get your attention to maybe ask for assistance, or what's your procedure for doing that?
If they need help, they just raise their hand.
Okay.
Because like I say, I'm coming around, I may be working with one group and they'll say, Miss, I said, okay, just, so they'll know that they have to wait a little bit, for me to come along. Because they know I make my rounds, and I may hit that group because I know that group might be a little bit higher, because some of the students, they're a little bit, more advanced than other groups in there. And so I know they could probably just wait a little bit while I hit the other students that kind of need a little bit more of a push, or,
Okay.
So,
Do you think that there would be anything that maybe you could do so that the students could help one another to figure out the answer? Would there be something that maybe you could do, like a procedure or a job or something like that?
I have done that before, like when students have finished their work, they'll come around and say, Miss, can I help? And I do. I let them, because I check the paper, and they're usually, like I say, the higher students. And so I'll let them go and help other students. And I always tell them, don't give them the answer. They need to work for it. You can give them a hint, but don't give them the answer, because nobody helped you get the answer. So, but just direct them in the right, the way to go to find the answer. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might be something maybe you could look into. Maybe like having, maybe assigning in groups, like this person is, depending on what you're doing, this person, is maybe like the student teacher, or, like somebody who does the research, this person's doing the reading. I remember when I was a teacher, that's something that I would do, just because otherwise they were swarming me, like, I need help. So I would always, how we used to say, in the old days, like ask three before me. So I mean, there's still, I think, there's some good that can come out of that, because we want them to struggle a little bit, but when we also want them to be independent, especially when they're doing this type of solo work. So, or, in groups too, but yeah, that may be something, that you might think about too, for a procedure, just so that way they're not stopping their work.
Waiting for me.
And waiting for you to go around, and again, that would go with the productive struggle too. Like, we want them to try to figure it out on their own. So that's something to think about.
And I could have maybe had the group of boys that had that, answer with talking about the storm and the light, and I could have said, okay guys, why don't you explain it? That would have been something else, and that way maybe hearing it, instead of me saying it, and explaining it, maybe hearing it from their peers.
And that makes a
that-
huge difference.
That might have been, so.
Yes, having one of their peers explain it to them for some reason
And-
always does the trick.
And then that would have boosted the students that knew, that group of boys that knew the answer.
Bingo.
That
yeah.
would have been,
Mhm.
so, that would have made them feel more confident and stuff. So, yeah, I should have
Yeah.
done that. But we're not
That's a good
through,
idea.
we're not through with this
Yeah,
lesson.
you can still implement that.
Cause so tomorrow when we come back, I'm probably gonna ask them to explain it to the students, how they came up with that.
Yeah, good
So-
idea. Okay. All right. Well, since we're talking about this, I guess this goes into my next question. What action steps you can do to maybe implement this new thing where there's students that maybe you assign or however you decide to do it, to kind of be like those student teachers that are kind of leading the group. What kind of steps could you do to start to implement that?
I don't know, I'd have to think. I don't know, I could do it like I said, with this group, I should have said, maybe have them discuss or explain the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next time I'll start doing more of that, especially if I see that a lot of people are struggling. I'll just
Do
say,
you have your group set up in a certain way?
no, right now it's just how they feel, and this group, like I say, they're pretty vocal, and as long as they're doing the work, I like to leave them like that, but if they start just talking about everything else,
You're so nice.
so because I want them to have the discussion, being able to.
I would say,
discuss it.
if I can make a suggestion, is really take a look at, like groupings, again, this is from my experience. I really liked it when I knew that there was a strong leader. You know them.
Yeah.
You know your kids. That strong leader, somebody who can take charge within the group just to kind of get like a facilitator,
Yeah.
That's going back to that student teacher, just really looking at your groups and how you have them sitting makes a huge difference. It does. Having that leader that's like, no, we're going to figure this out. This is what we're going to do. Kind of giving them that opportunity to kind of, facilitate, the work.
And I've been thinking, I know another teacher has her desk by different colors, and each student has a job. So
Perfect.
I told her I was gonna do it, and I just need to get in there, and like you say, have somebody that maybe will be recording, somebody that'll be, like you say, the facilitator, and so, and I've been wanting to do that, and that could work with, having, like you say,
will
putting a
see,
strong.
yeah, especially if they know. I mean, the kids will take ownership of those titles. They really will. And you can always switch them out, depending on, what you guys are working on. But yeah, I would definitely give it a try because, it works.
Yeah,
It really does.
I've been meaning to,
Break up those groups that are chatty. Yeah. Yeah. It will make a huge difference.
Yeah, because I have pretty strong students in there.
Yeah.
I have a couple.
Is that your honors class?
No, 7th period is honors. But these are, a pretty strong group. Like I said, they're pretty vocal. They discuss. They like to discuss. So I had about 5 missing, and they're the ones that do a lot and miss. And sometimes I have to say, wait, give somebody else a chance,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Making it to where it's like their own little mini classroom. The kids love that stuff. All right. Well, is there anything I can do to help you with this? I'd love to be able to come back.
No, yes, please. No, please. Because I want to hear where I can improve, where there's improvement. There's room for improvement. Yes, by anytime. You can come back anytime.
Great. Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much.
Just let me know ahead of time.
Yeah, I'll give you plenty of notice. And I'd love to be able to come back and see where
We can do
that
it
you've
with another
implemented.
class.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
try another class and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mind the feedback, so.
Great. Thank you so much for
ma'am.
allowing me to observe
No,
you.
thank you.
I really
Thank
appreciate it.
So I just kind of wanted to touch base with you. You were observing our conversation that I had with Mrs. Escochia, our post-conference. So can you give me some feedback? Oh, let me introduce you. This is Miss Pierre. She is our instructional coach here at Cunningham Middle School at South Park.
Okay. Yes. So the conversation was great. You started with, what she noticed, and so it gave her time to reflect. And then you went into what could be better if. She was still focused on the rigor part of the lesson.
I noticed that.
And you were more focused on routines and procedures, which was fine.
Is that common?
It is, because that is something that we've been working on as a school. So every day in PLC, that's what we're planning for. We're planning
Okay,
for
so this kind of threw her off.
Yes.
A little
And so maybe starting with, again, let's go back to routines and procedures, or making sure you saw her beginning of the class,
Right.
which is something that you had mentioned, right?
Right.
But you did eventually get her in a roundabout way to her action step, which was routines and procedures. So when she finally, around everything, her action step was, well, maybe I need to try
Yeah.
the roles,
Right.
right? And having something on the desk that gives them roles, which is a routine and procedure. So through it all, I still think she was able to reflect on her lesson, the rigor part of her lesson, but you still got her to where she needed to be. And now she has an action step, and now she has a plan of a routine and procedure.
Okay.
So,
Okay, any other thing that you think I need to work on as far as our rapport? Or anything
I
like
think
that?
your rapport was very good. I think that she trusts you. She was willing to come in, sit down with you, let you videotape her. She's a very shy teacher. And so the fact that she felt comfortable with you doing that, that's a great thing, so that you can tell that you've built that relationship with her. And that
Okay.
trust is very important.
Okay.
As far as, I would always make sure I come in with a script of some type, so that I can continue to get her where I need to get her, right?
Right.
Because you're going to always have a goal in mind based on the observation, but you want the teacher to come to that realization of the same type of goal.
Right.
And you did.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for helping me with this. I wanted to do a reflection, a post observation reflection on the observation I did today with RLA teacher Mrs. Escochia. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. My observation was domain 3, which is over classroom culture and procedures, and I had a chance to go into her classroom and observe the classroom and routines. And for the most part, I noticed that Miss Escochia had several strengths that she had going for her. And talking with the instructional coach, I felt like she fell in between the categories of proficient and developing. And I noticed that there were times where students were not working because they didn't understand the lesson. And so my goal was to really try to get Ms. Escochia to focus on what could be implemented in her class so that it could be more student driven. And so I felt like that was accomplished in our conversation. I felt like eventually she did understand what I was trying to get at. I didn't want to come out and tell her, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. In studying throughout this course, I understand now that I really want to focus on getting the instructor to come up with a solution of where there is a need in instruction. And so I felt like that was accomplished when she did say that she would implement those small group roles, such as facilitator, timekeeper, recorder, presenter, those types of things. And so I am excited to go back into Mrs. Escochia's classroom to be able to see that being implemented. She did invite me to go back, and so that's something that I definitely want to do. In receiving the feedback from the instructional coach, Miss St. Pierre, she did mention that I do need to work on getting the teacher focused and kind of leading that conversation to where it needed to be. For instance, Miss Escochia kept going back to the lesson when I was really trying to get her to focus on Domain 3. And so I felt like eventually we did get there. Miss Empire noticed it as well, but she did mention that that's probably something that I need to work on, and that's probably something that'll come eventually with practice. And so that's something I'm definitely going to work on. But I really enjoyed this experience. I feel like this is something that I'm going to continue to do on my own, just because I feel like I do need the practice, especially if this is something that I'm going to pursue and to look into getting into next year. I do know I have not taken the T-test training, but that is going to be coming as well, and so that will definitely kind of help me to get more insight into this whole process. And so I just kind of want to wrap things up, just to record thoughts. And so, yeah, I was pleased the way the observation came, and I was very appreciative of both Miss Pierre, Miss Rupp, and Miss Escochia for this opportunity.